Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Parallel Universe. We're going to be looking today across the next 30 minutes at a home or school-based tutorial for fifth grade through adults, fragile readers who read too slowly and inaccurately to enjoy text. Our goal is to get as many kids reading with competency and joy as possible. That's what we're going to be looking at as we move through this next 30 minutes. Say hello in the chat box. We'd love to hear where you're from, your role, whether you're a parent or a staff member. We all share the same common goals for a literate group of students moving through our school system and into their adult life. So I'm Marilyns Sprick. I am the author of Read Well K2, which is an ELA program to prevent reading difficulties and provide early intervention. I'm also the lead author of The Third Quest, which is a school-based intervention for adolescent poor readers at tiers 2 and 3. One of the things that I have been blessed with in my school career is that I have worked with groups of wonderful, wonderful co-authors who have been coaches, consultants, people steeped in research and absolutely fabulous interventionists themselves. We always field test our programs to make sure they work, and we also look at research-based programs for kids. So we're looking at fifth grade students through adults who are reluctant readers, and our goal is to help them find competence. So with that in mind, I'm going to move you through our presentation so you can see what we're going to be looking at. Our question that we're asking is, how can you help your child, grandchild, neighbor, friend, or maybe a former student read with competence and confidence, possibly without being a reading specialist? We know that we can move kids forward, and what we want to do is share that knowledge and information in lessons that work with these students. We're going to look quickly at a research base, because if you are going to do additional reading support for a child, we want to make sure that it's going to work. So we are deeply steeped in the research when we move into writing reading programs. We're also going to look at some NAEP results so that you understand that the child that you're thinking about is not alone in reading difficulties. We're going to look at pre-post differences between our field test students in the parallel universe, so you can hear the difference in how it works. And then we're going to look at how the parallel universe works, either in a school setting or as a one-to-one tutorial between family members, friends, and so on, either via Zoom or face-to-face. So the final thing that we're going to look at then is how the parallel universe works. We want to have you take a look at the program itself and what it does for students and their adult support people and network. And then finally, we're going to listen to advice from a Parallel Universe Season 1 graduate, and that will fill our 30 minutes. We'll hang out afterwards to answer questions that you may have put in the chat, and we'll also hang out to talk with you personally if you have questions following this webinar. So again, my deep thanks to you for your attendance in this webinar. Okay, moving forward, we are going to look at the research base. And what I can share with you is this. My husband and I, Randy Sprick and I, were very, very fortunate to go through the University of Oregon when there were giants in education providing us with background knowledge and information on behavior as well as reading. I specialized in reading, Randy in behavior, but we all have a passion. We all have a passion for getting as many kids to be competent readers as possible from a social and emotional perspective, a behavioral perspective, and life consequences and opportunities. So I began at the University of Oregon with being taught that research was incredibly important. About every 10 to 20 years, we get another summary of the more recent research that's being done. Then we have the National Panel for Reading commissioned in the year 2000 to look at different aspects of reading. And they also came up with 5 areas of reading that we need to provide good instruction for with our students. We need to provide phonemic awareness instruction, systematic phonics instruction, vocabulary, comprehension, and fluency instruction for our students who are learning to read. Those efforts have been deepened across the years in terms of research, finding a consistent pattern of what we need to do for our students. They converge with what we are learning about dyslexia, because learning to read is very, very easy for some students and very, very difficult for others. And what we find is kids that have dyslexia or on that spectrum of dyslexia where learning to read is a difficult task, much like learning to play basketball would be difficult for me. We find that there are the same things that all kids need are things that our dyslexic kids need as well. So again, converging evidence. That's the evidence that we look at when we build programs. And what we're really excited about is when you follow the research, your programs work. So that said, despite that 50-year research base about how to teach reading and teach reading well, we find that across the United States, we are losing a lot of our students, not just a small percentage. We only, in the year 2019, this is pre-COVID, we only had 4% of our students reaching an advanced level in reading. 29% were proficient. 39% of our students were only performing at a basic level, which is everyday reading kinds of tasks that are very, very simple. And we also had another 27% of our kids who read below basic. So 2/3 of our students are not proficient readers. So if you are a parent, a grandparent, a staff member, we call this a literacy crisis in the United States. We have just a lot of students who are not learning to read well. Now, when we left the University of Oregon, we left because we worked with some giants in education. We knew that we could get kids to read well. Unfortunately, a large percentage of our students learn this: if they would just get motivated, they would read better. And that strategy of motivation is our go-to general prescription for kids who are reading poorly. So I'm going to play for you a high school student who was struggling to read well enough to pass his high school courses. He was not a special ed student. He had received 1 year of intervention. And what you can hear is he talks about what people did to try to get him to read, at least his perspective, when he was a younger student. So listen to him discuss that.
I remember I had a real problem not looking at the pictures and making up my own story. I remember learning words and being able to say them, and flashcards for a while, but most of the time it was just get them reading, just get them reading. And I tried, but when I had to for assignments and stuff, but on my own, I wouldn't read.
So we know that that's kind of the go-to strategy. That's what our kids hear from people. You just got to read. And we know our parents oftentimes hear that. You need to have your child read for 20 minutes a night. So what we as well-educated support people tend to do is try to find something the kids will like. And so I see grandparents buying their kids Harry Potter. But if they're reluctant, struggling readers, it's simply too hard. They'll listen to somebody else read to it. They'll enjoy the story, but the book itself goes on a shelf in their room. Then we find parents who say, well, maybe, we know that Harry Potter is really dense, so let's find something that has more pictures and less text. So we look at graphic novels. The kids look through those. They're reluctant readers. They're poor readers. They look at the pictures. They don't read the text. It goes back on the shelf. So then we try to find things that they're interested in. So kid is interested in soccer. We buy 10 different top soccer books. Guess what happens? The kids look at the pictures. They don't read the text, and then they go on a shelf. So what we want to do is we want to think about what happens when get 'em reading doesn't work, because from a research perspective, we know that motivation alone is not enough to move forward a reluctant reader. Okay, so this is our high school student talking about what happened when get 'em reading didn't work for him.
I questioned myself a lot, is there something wrong with me? I'd ask my mom, did you drop me on my head? Or, my mom, she always told me that, it wasn't anything wrong with me. I just needed to read more, just keep reading. And I took her advice for a little while and tried reading some books and, just keep reading. And I just got tired of it because I'd read and it'd take me so long. At that time, I didn't have the skills to read or improve. And it just got boring to me, like I was going nowhere.
So out of the mouths of our students. So when we look at research and then we really listen to the kids to create programs that work. And what this student said is after 9 years of get 'em reading not working, he said, I questioned myself a lot. I asked my mom if she dropped me on my head or something. That's an indication of a kid with a great sense of humor, really bright, really articulate, just with a reading problem. But he's asking, was something wrong with me? And then he said, it took me so long, it got boring. I felt like I was going nowhere. That's what we want to prevent with the parallel universe and the programs that we write for kids. Okay, now, when Get 'em Reading doesn't work, what we find some people doing is getting the kids audible. But my concern is this: when we start giving the kids just audio taped books, what they're learning is listening skills, but they're not learning the skill of reading. And they're also learning that we've given up on them. So with the parallel universe, what we're hoping to do is to change that trajectory and show the kids that they can make progress, that they can become competent readers. And we know that if they can become competent readers, that motivation will follow that. Okay, so our mission is to get as many kids reading as possible, truly reading with confidence and pride. And so that's where we're moving forward with the parallel universe. Now, as we look at effective programs, this is again a review of the research. And as we looked at research for adolescents, what we found is that many of our adolescent students have word recognition problems. They need phonemic awareness and systematic explicit phonics instruction that they should have learned to mastery in grades K through 3, but they are not using with automaticity and efficiency as they are reading, as they're moving forward and going through school. We know that word recognition skills will build fluency. We know that our adolescent kids need content knowledge in order to understand what they're reading. We know they need vocabulary so they know how to pronounce difficult words and understand the meaning of them. And we know we need active engagement and motivation. And so as we create programs, those are the skills that we're working at for adolescent kids: a comprehensive approach to remediation. So I'd like to share with you what the kids sound like. This is Sam at pretest. And what you're going to notice as you listen to him read, I'm just going to play the second paragraph for you so that you can hear the difference with our time restrictions. And what you want to listen for is Sam at pretest, how labored it was that he worked on the words. He had read the person who gave him the screening had read the title for him and then had him repeat the title with the hope that the word Mesopotamia, that content knowledge word, didn't throw him as he was moving into the passage. So this is Sam reading at pretest, and then we're going to listen to him at posttest.
The people of Mesopotamia were the first to invent the wheel. First wheels were used by potters. Years later, people learned how to use wheels on carts that were pulled by animals. The people of Mesopotamia were also the first to invent the writing system. They used writing to keep records of what they sold.
That halting, stopping, hard reading is the hallmark of kids who are going to have reading difficulties. It's easy to diagnose, and then it just takes some work to fix. So this is Sam at pretest, and so you can see that he read 84 words correct per minute, made 4 errors, so his total was 80 words correct per minute, and he met our target population. So this is a screener that we have free at thethirdquest.com, so that you can see if you have a student, the student that you're thinking about might benefit from this program. Okay, now this is Sam at posttest. He did not practice this particular passage in the interim, but you're going to hear a major difference in the way he approaches text and his level of confidence.
The people of Mesopotamia were the first to invent the wheel. First wheels were used by potters. Years later, people learned how to use wheels on carts that were pulled by animals. The people of Mesopotamia were also the first to invent a writing system. They used writing to keep records of what they sold.
Okay, that's Sam at posttest. So despite the little bobble you heard in that last sentence of the second paragraph, he read 150 words correct per minute with 0 errors. And so there you see that nice bump, and you can hear that confidence in his voice. That's where we're hoping for as many kids as possible. So if this program looks benefit to you, we're hoping that you share the word. Okay, now these are our field test kids. We still have test results dribbling in, but with the summer disappearing on us, and we're knowing that a lot of people want to make tracks while they can with their kids, we rush this out so that it's sort of like the vaccination that we're looking at. We want to get as many kids reading as possible, as many people healthy as possible. And so we kind of put this on the fast track for releasing it to those of you who have kids who struggle with reading. These are our kids. You can see that where they started made a difference in where they ended. And so we're not looking at unrealistic expectations, but you can see across the board, all of our kids made some really fantastic gains on the internal pretest, post-test fluency that we were assessing. We also did external progress monitoring because we want to see how far that generalizes. And of course, you're not going to see as big of a bump, but you can see that the procedures were working against texts that included a broader range of skills than what we actually had time to teach the kids in 41 lessons. But you see these nice bumps in fluency from all of the kids. Our child who started at 54 and went to 84 still needs more work, but the fact is she feels really, really good because she's made progress and she can tell she has. So that's what we're looking for there. If you're wondering why fluency is important, we have a new study that was done by NAEP and IES. And what they did was they looked at kids that scored advanced at the end of 4th grade, and we found that our advanced kids read 160 words correct per minute on average. Our proficient kids read 142 words correct per minute on average. And then you get to our basic kids read 123 words correct per minute. These are kids who can read every day reading tasks, but do not read well enough to analyze text. And so doing well in school is difficult. Then we have our below basic group, and what the IES NAEP study found was that the highest below basic students read 108 words correct per minute, the middle lowest kids read 95 words correct per minute, and our lowest below average kids, below basic kids, only read 71 words correct per minute. So you can see that there's a huge correlation between fluency and generalized reading abilities. And that's one reason that we measure it, because it's quick and it's easy to measure, but we also know it translates to generalized reading abilities across the board. We deliver instruction via video. My voice guides the kids through the program. But prior to that, we also have a wonderful videographer named Nick, who is a cool dude giving the kids directions. And so this is how we open with the parallel universe.
Turn to page 4 in your logbook. Task 1, Arrival. Welcome. Please follow along with the memo. Memo. 2. Students of the parallel universe, family members and teachers. From Quest Central. If you have the will, you will become stronger and bolder. Your fate will be in your control. Will you persevere? Will you stick with it? Will you meet your goals? Check off Task 1, Arrival. Look at Task 2, Video 2, Pillars of Success. Watch for 4 traits that allow people to prove themselves. You have entered the parallel universe. You have entered the parallel universe. You have entered the parallel universe. To move forward, you must understand the traits that support the pillars of success. Perseverance, professionalism, teamwork, and integrity. Those who prove themselves will find the ability to be responsible, respectful, confident, and kind, brave, committed, honest, and joyful. 6 and only 6 students will enter the parallel universe. They will be called into the vortex, 2 at a time. 6 students evolving, maturing. Their futures have yet to be told. Will lessons be learned? This perilous journey will happen by chance, only by chance, when the vortex approaches this world. It's the first day of a new school year.
So there we go with the beginning with our cool dude on the video, enticing the kids into working on perseverance, working on teamwork, professionalism, and integrity. And those are the pillars of success or guidelines for success. So we know that not only do we need to teach the kids to read, but we need to teach them the behaviors that will allow them to stick with it and to build the automaticity on the basic skills that underline their older kid reading difficulties. So then we also know that we need to provide explicit instruction where we model new and difficult skills, we guide practice, and then we provide independent practice. And what the video does is it leads you through those steps so that I, the teacher, am deciding when we're going to model, when we're not going to model, when we're going to have you, the coach, read with the student, and when we're going to have the kids practice independently. There's about 15 minutes of video instruction, and the lessons last 40 minutes. So 41 lessons, 40 minutes of instructional time, and part of that being led by the video. Okay, so this is the way foundational skill building looks with phonics. The kids have all had some of this in the past, but what they haven't done is built automaticity. And so this is the way we start that practice with the video-led instruction.
Task 3, word study. When it is simple, push yourself. You are working on automaticity. Touch A sounds, focused practice. Row 1, listen and follow along in your log.
I as an insect, in, it.
There's your model.
Hid, it is slid.
Now read that same row with the teacher.
I as an
Coach and
insect,
teacher read together.
in, it, hid, it is slid.
Touch row 2, read along with the teacher. You've read each row one time. Mark 1 tally above the box. Now pause the video and read rows 1 to 4 2 more times to your coach. Practice for accuracy. If you are accurate, can you go faster? Go for it.
So our cool dude keeps pushing the kids towards automaticity, and what the parents say is, you know, when that cool dude says to do something, the kids do it. Whereas if I said that, it's going to be a little bit more of a, do I really want to do that or not? So we have this process moving forward with that interaction between coach saying, do it, do it, do it, and you can build that automaticity. Okay, so then we're also going to do daily passage reading, and what we're going to work on is accuracy and comprehension. Then we're going to work on reading for expression, and then we're going to read for accuracy, expression, and a speaking rate. And so here you're going to see the video directions for how that works.
Moving forward, you will read a passage each day. Today is the beginning. You are going to read chapter 1 of a narrative fiction. The title is Tansy and Domingo. A, first reading. Take turns reading every other sentence with your coach. Your coach will ask questions at the numbers. If you or your coach makes a little mistake, correct it and reread the sentence so you don't make the mistake again. B, second reading. Read the passage again for accuracy and expression. C, third reading. Read for 1 minute and record the number of words you read correctly in 1 minute. Put your finger under the first word. Ready? Begin.
So what our parents say is it's easy, you just follow the directions. And then we also do vocabulary lessons. So here's a sample from the kids learning the word myth. Their journey is about half informational text and about half narrative fiction, where the kids go on a time quest. And they go back in time to learn about ancient history. So this is from a level that it discusses, and the students are learning about ancient Mesopotamia.
Look at task 1, vocabulary.
The first word is myth. Say myth. How many syllables are in the word myth? Just one. Look at the definition of myth. A myth is a story that teaches a lesson or explains why things happen. A myth tells of gods and goddesses and events that were once believed to be real. A myth is fiction. Look at the picture. Mesopotamia was the land between two rivers. Every year the land flooded. People told stories about the gods to explain why the floods came. Those stories are called myths.
Pause the video and discuss what a myth is.
And so there's your opportunity for rich interaction with the vocabulary that's being taught. Then we also teach the kids to apply the phonetic skills that they've learned to more and more sophisticated words, but we're also teaching them some of the irregularities of our language that throw kids who have difficulty reading words. And so the letter Y has 4 different sounds. Here is where we're teaching them as in the vocabulary myth that they learned earlier in the lesson. And then, of course, once we introduce something, there's repeated practice and cumulative review to the end of the program.
Task A, related words.
Look at the first word. The letter Y says I in the word myth. The pronunciation of myth will help you read the related words.
Listen to the teacher read the related words.
Myth, mystery, mystic, mystical, mystify.
Read the row to your coach.
And there we're set up for 3 repeated reads with the logos that we've got there. Once again, just a reminder, if you've got questions, please put them in the chat box and we will either send you written answers or you can hang around and we can talk about those questions after the webinar is over. We may run about 5 minutes long because we want to make sure that you see exactly what you might be able to do for your student or child. And so we want you to be sure to be able to hear Sam at the end talking about how the program has helped him. Okay, so we're also going to move the kids into multisyllabic words. And so as soon as the students have the skills that are embedded in those multisyllabic words, then we start teaching the kids how to recognize those common letter chunks.
Touch D, multisyllabic words. Read rows 1 to 5 with the teacher.
B, re, D, pause, decline, decline. Me, he, pause, defeat, defeat. On, dawn, con, pause, conquered, conquered.
Now read every other row with your coach. You start. Read all.
So again, repeated practice until they build automaticity even on those multisyllabic words, and the check marks help us with that. Okay, then we're going to look at building prosody, expression, as well as accuracy as the students read. And so this is towards the end of the program, and I just wanted you to hear how we're building automaticity with the kids. And there are times when we model prosody for the kids, but always at a rate that's really close to what they can handle. So this is very close to what Sam was reading in his second attempt at reading his pretest and post-test screening.
Now follow along as the teacher reads to the dotted line.
Once King Hammurabi had established Babylon as the center of a great empire, he worked to improve the lives of his people. Hammurabi observed that laws were sometimes changed so people could escape punishment. Hammurabi wanted one set of laws to be written down so they couldn't be changed at will.
Now it's your turn. Read to the dotted line. Remember, when passages that are nonfiction are read with confidence and command, your rate will be slower.
So what the kids do is there's internal progress monitoring all throughout the program so that the coach and the student can celebrate each step that the kids make. but also if they need to do a little extra practice, there's prescriptions for that as well. So that's Hammurabi's Law. So you get a sense of some of the content that the kids are reading, as well as the push that they're making towards more and more facile reading as they move through the program. Of course, the program ends with a joyous conclusion with our fictional quest characters asking questions about their future and what sent them on this journey that they've gone on. And the kids enjoy finishing up and predicting what's going to happen possibly next with this time traveler group in the fiction that is in the program. So with that, I'm going to end the formal presentation that we've got here with some wisdom from Sam, because I think the magic is in what the kids are thinking about their reading and how they're doing. So you saw Sam's end of level test scores. So we know that we can document increased fluency and ability to read words. Here's some wisdom from Sam about how he looks at his progress.
I think the program will help you a lot because the program will help you with sophisticated words and other stuff, and you would get a better thing at reading than you have right now. And so reading program is really good for helping you in school. So before I used to stop at every line and not get the words correct, but now I get the words correct, and I don't have to stop that often.
So there you go. And now I get the words correct and I don't have to stop as often, and I learn its sophisticated words. So a great sense of pride from this young man who in previous times would check out books from the library and leave them in his backpack. And his mom says he's now picking them out and reading them, actually taking them out of his backpack and saying, I want to read. So that's the goal that we've got: increased competence and confidence with these kids and brighter futures. If you wish to join us, this is our website, thethirdquest.com. If you go there, you can find, if you click on this little purple button, it will get you to the parallel universe. The screener is there and a little bit more information on the program itself. So again, thank you very, very much. I hope it came through to you that our mission is just getting kids reading better. It's a wonderful career to be in and a noble cause, and we hope you will join us with us. Please share the word if you know of other people who've got kids that they're concerned about. Our goal is to get past that COVID hump, but also to get past the number of fragile readers that we have in our schools today. Every effort is appreciated, and we appreciate you. So thank you very, very much for your time. And I'm going to hang out to entertain questions for those of you who might have them.